Today, I'm going to take you through the process of decorating this Magical Memories Disney-inspired mini album. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi everyone, this is Debbie from Project 39 Mini Albums. I have made a tutorial on how I made this 7x7 mini album, and I am going to show you how I decorate it. I'll take you through page by page, giving you the measurements. Now, I do have, as I said, a tutorial on my channel on how to make the album, the cover, the base, the hinge. The page is with the pages with the page elements. And I do also have a cutting guide in my coffee shop. You don't need the cutting guide if you want to just follow the tutorial online, but some people do like to have a written cutting list. I will give you the measurements of each of the pages as I go through in decorating it. So without any further ado, we're going to start from the covers, work our way through to the pages. We'll make the hidden pocket pages, including the tabs and any extra. And then at the end, I'll decorate it with stickers. I usually go through and do the paper and then the all of the little cut aparts and photo mats, then the hidden pocket pages, and then the decorating. And at the end, we'll do a walkthrough and I'll show you it all done. All right, let's go. In this case, I am using Magical Adventure 2 from Echo Park. I did also use another Magical Adventure. Let me see if I can find it. Another Magical Adventure paper. Could have been plain Magical Adventure. No, it wasn't. It was Wish Upon a Star 2. I purchased the collection kit for Magical Adventure, but as I usually do, I supplement that. And in this case, I like to get a plaid or something like that that just has all of the colors. Now, these colors aren't exactly the same. I mean, I think the red's a little washed out, but it still works. Now, I also had the option of having some extra 3x4 cut aparts. In this case, I'm not going to use it. I am just using this paper. So if you are purchasing the collection, I could have made it stretch, but I wanted to make sure I had enough. I also purchased the patterns and, or not patterns and solids, the solids, the coordinating solids to go along with the Magical Adventure. I've also covered one album, and I've got one that we're going to cover together, but I have not finished decorating this. So this is not the final result. I'll show you the final result in the end. We're just going to cover it with paper. I'll give you the measurements, and then I'm going to go through and add stickers and enamel dots and whatnot, and do the final walkthrough at the very end. So if you just want to see the walkthrough, skip to the very end. There is a tutorial on my channel for how I made the mini album, and there is also a file in my coffee shop. It's available for a very small fee, and it's just the written measurements. Some people can do fine following along, but if you want the written measurements, I just charge a little bit just because it takes me some time to write everything down. And I will tell you, it may not be perfect, but that's why I don't charge very much. All right, so anyhow, let's get started, and we're going to go page by page, starting with the front and outside covers. So as you can see, I do have a red border around it. You could do a second border if you wanted, just cut everything down by 1/4 of an inch if that's what you want. I just am going to do, I'm keeping it simple for this one, believe it or not, keeping it simple. And then I used one of the cut aparts. It says Magical Memories. It took me longer, I think, to figure out what I was going to put on the front than to decorate the whole thing. I just wasn't sure. I really didn't like this craft color because I didn't use it too much in the album. But I liked the saying Magical Memories. I was going to do Best Day Ever, but suppose the people who purchase this or give this or whatever, it's not one day, it's a weekend. So, just one of those things. So let's do the cover. I have everything cut out, ready to go. We've got, for the front cover, I've got this piece. Well, let's start with the base. Base is a piece of red solid. Oh my goodness, there's a hole missing out of it. Yeah, I do that because you're not going to see the center, and I can reuse that for another part. Did I use it for this one? Oh, yeah, there we go. I just can reuse that, and we're going to be covering up most of it. All right, so this is, since our album is 7 by 7 on the outside, this is 6 7/8 by 6 7/8. This, where's my ruler, just to make sure, is 6 5/8 by 6 5/8. No, 6 5/8. It's a little bit shorter because I already cut some of it. It ends up being 6 5/8 by 6 3/8, just because I used this somewhere else in the book and I needed to cut it down. But I'm going to leave it the way it is. I don't need to cut it down. I don't care about bulk on the front cover. So I'm going to glue this on, and since I already have, since there's a hole cut out of it, I'm going to add some glue here, because I can't go all in the center because that will make a mess. So I'm staying about 1/8 of an inch away from the sides in the bottom. And there we go. And then I cut this out of the border paper. Let me see if I can show you. Well, there's just a couple small pieces left. And I'm just going to add this to the top. It sort of separates the cover and takes advantage of this fun castle in here. I was hoping there was a castle in the sticker sheet, but there isn't, because I would have loved to add a little castle with a sticker. I will find something else to add. There might be the balloons. I'm not sure what yet, to be honest with you. Okay, now here we've got this Magical Memories paper, and I'm going to cut it down some because it's 6 inches and it just wouldn't fit. So I'm going to cut off 1/2 inch from both sides. It actually will be about 4 7/8, and I'll cut off another 1/2 inch from the top. I take all of these and stick them in a box, and at the end, if I don't use them, I just toss them. All right, so now we'll see how big this piece is. It fits good there. I'm just going to simply cut this down a little bit, make sure it's pretty square, which it is. So as you can tell, I don't go crazy with the measurements and making sure it's exact. I just want it to be close enough. You can round the corners of this. You could add another layer. You could make it dimensional. You could, by adding some foam tape, you could do a couple of different things to it. But again, I'm keeping it simple, and I'm just adding this so there's an even border around it, and we're good. And then I'm going to put this on here, almost centering it on the page. It's going to be a little more towards the top than it will be towards the bottom. I know I'm covering up some of that, the words that are on that little strip, and that's too bad because they were cute, but oh well. All right, so there's the cover. It's all set. I'm going to put it on. Now when I'm doing my covers, I do tend to add more glue. Sometimes I'll add double-sided tape just to make sure it sticks. Although I do try to make sure the corners, so I'll sometimes go through the corners, because if anything were to come up, it's going to be at the corners usually. If you've not followed along with the tutorial, I think I explained what I'm using. I am using the Designer Dries Clear glue from the Art Institute Glitter, or Art Glitter Institute, however you want to say it. I'm putting this on. And I'll get my bone folder and burnish. And I'll also clean this off where my extra glue seeped out. And burnish. Actually, I can take this and flatten it out. All right, so there's that. I've cut this. It is 6 7/8 by 2 1/4. Let's dry fit it first. Yep, perfect. You could use this side if you wanted to. You could use anything if you wanted to. But if you want to do it exactly the same as I did, I used the bubbly side. And I could use this, but I wanted to add something onto the spine, a sticker. So I wanted to keep it fairly simple, so the sticker would show. Alrighty. And then you could use that, but I am just going to keep it very simple again and just do this blue check. Again, using a good amount of glue. I don't like bubbling on the cover. And making sure I get the corners so nothing pops up. Put that on and just try to get it even. Now it looks like there's a lot of black on here, but you know, it's just because it's folded. All right, so that is it. That's the front cover and the back cover. Okay, now we can move on to the inside front cover. So this had a waterfall. I just tacked it on with a little bit of ATG, which I'm going to take off right now. I use ATG sort of as a temporary adhesive, just so I can keep it in place, because this one needed, needs a full sheet to go on the bottom. And so for that, I cut this, and again, it's 6 7/8 by 6 7/8. You don't want to cut a hole out of that. I used this, it's got the tone on tone with the castles. Sometimes I like to sort of continue from the outside cover into the inside cover, the theme, but in this way it wasn't, for this page, it wasn't really blatant. It was just sort of subtle. But I do add the castle paper a little bit. All right, make sure that is even all the way around. Take my bone folder. This is a Dress Your Craft number 2 non-stick bone folder. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, now before I add, we'll put that aside and let that dry. Before I add the waterfall onto it, I'm going to decorate it. It's just easier to decorate if before it's all added. I just write inside front cover so I can keep track of things. Now I've already added my magnet, and incidentally, I didn't cut this down. I just folded it. I think this was 2 1/2. I cut it or folded it. You could cut it down if you haven't put it on to 2 1/4. I just wanted a little smaller because it was covering up my Dream Big. And you could take the magnet and put it No, you can't. You can't take the magnet and put it anywhere. We're just leaving it. All right, so I have Dream Big. It is a 4x4 cut apart. Since it's 4x4, I had to put paper on the bottom or else the border would be too big for me. So I am using red. I just like that with the really big, bold writing. I like a big, bold border. And I cannot lie. Okay, so like I said, we've already got the magnet on there, so I can just start covering from top to bottom. Oops, and I'm making a mess. I will clean that up in just a second. You know, I'm doing what I usually don't do. And I usually like to cover from the bottom to the top. It just makes it a little bit easier to do it that way. Oh, let me show you the page. Huh. I should have done that to begin with. All right, here we are. I've got a little castle sticker there. Maybe I should have saved that for the front cover. And yeah, we've got Dream Big. Then we've got blue, yellow, blue, red, white, blue, yellow with the stripy thing in the middle. So, but you see how that big is sort of covered a little bit? It won't be covered as much here. So I'm going to put blue is here, white I just cut out of white cardstock, and then yellow goes on the bottom. On the top here goes the yellow. Here goes the red, and here goes the blue. These, incidentally, are all cut about 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, smidgen bigger. And then I cut these 4 1/4 by just a smidgen under 1/2 inch. It was 7/8. I'm sorry, 7/16. 7/16. So I'm going to start at the bottom and add glue. Make sure there's a border all the way around. Put this at the top and make sure it matches with that. White goes on the bottom. Now, a lot of times I don't cover the waterfalls, or I'll cover the waterfall just at the bottom. But in this case, A, I had enough paper left over, and B, I just thought it would look really pretty. And I might do that more. I realize, you know, people who will buy this, when they buy it on how it looks. They don't buy it on how it's going to look. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's hard to imagine your photo in there. All you see is the pretty colors. Now, if it gets too chunky, I will just not put it on. It's not a big deal. But, okay, and the reason I like to start from the bottom and go up to the top is because this way you can match the papers coming up from the bottom. All right, this will go on the top. And if you're following along with me and doing it, don't go too fast on this. And I'll tell you why in just a second. Okay, now I'll take these little strips and cover that section in between. When you cover it, make sure that the still can close. I think it adds a nice finished touch, don't you? And I don't always do that, but I think I might. All right, now this one feels like it might be a little bit too big. But you know what? I can put this one on the bottom one. And then this one is got to be smaller. And I'll put this in the middle. Okay, good. Okay, that looks good. Oh, that looks fabulous. All right, I have 2 of these. These measure, it's almost 2. It's 1 15/16 by 2 1/8 up and down. I did round the corners of this because I rounded the corners of that flap. Now be careful when you round the corners. You have to have this sort of upside down around the bottom corner of it. Because if you rounded the top corner, it would be wrong. I mean, it would work. All right, look at that. That is fabulous. Okay, now, so this is going to go in the book, but I am going to reserve the right to use this as a tuck spot on top. So when I put it in the book, I am just going to put it glue on 3 sides. I'm going to put it above where our little tab is on the bottom, but I mean, I'll probably put maybe a 3x4 cut apart coming up at the top. I haven't done that yet. Again, I just do the basic decorating. And then the other thing I want to do before I put this in is this one side. If you were with me when we decorated it, I cut this bottom piece a little bit too big. It's not even 1/8 of an inch too big. It's more like, oh, I don't know. It's just a teeny amount too big. It's that much too big. There, that makes me feel better. All right, so I'm going to add glue. Add a little bit more at the top. And then add some on the bottom. So here's the little tabby thing. I'm going to add it above the tab. And I'll add it here. All right, now I will put it more towards the bottom of the page, centering it left and right. But there we go. Now, it always seems to me that when this is drying, the very top doesn't want to dry as straight as I want it to. I'm going to take a little clip. Let me see. Take a magnet ruler. Oh my goodness. And put that on there. That's straight. Why does that not look straight? Oh, just because the ruler's not straight. Okay, and that's just going to dry like that. Okay, now we're going to work on the front of page 1. So first of all, I want to grab a corner rounder and round this flap. I have to keep it out because I'm going to cover things. Now, don't rush and cover this. I'm going to put that piece aside and we'll cover the rest. So for this, I have this piece. And again, this is the piece with the castles. This is about 5 1/4 and 6 3/8 because our page is 6 1/2. So I'll round this corner. And then I will go ahead and glue this on. So you may have heard me when I was doing the tutorial of the book that I want to show you different ways of making closures besides magnets. We used a magnet here. We're going to do different things throughout the book. I know magnets can get expensive. You might not always have them handy. I'm going to turn this upside down just so I have something light so I can see what I'm doing below it. Make sure it's even. Whoops. Okay, that's good. All right, again, I'll put that aside. Now, the thing about this page is we're going to have photo mats. I was worried I wasn't going to have enough paper, so when I do that, I add photo mats. These photo mats are 4 3/8 by 6 3/8. They're just white pieces of paper. Gives you room for a 4 by 6 photo, or if you have smaller photos, you can still put a smaller photo on, but journal underneath it or on the side of it. Depends on the orientation. So I'm going to put this down. Make sure this will close. Okay. I put a little strip of paper there just because I was afraid it was going to get lost if I put it aside and paper clipped everything together. All right, this is going to go on the other side of that little 1/4 inch. It's almost a 1/4 inch. Okay, now the piece that goes on the side, this is dry, I can take this off. Piece that goes on the side is just about 3/4. Could have made it a little bit bigger. Is it 3/4? Just about. Yeah, make it 3/4. Well, measure and double check and make sure it's the right size. And then I rounded the corners of it, and I will go ahead and add this on. And I sort of think it looks nice with the white photo mats there, don't you? So there we go with that. Okay, so now before I put this on, first of all, I need to cut it down. This is, so it's 2 1/8 between the edge of my white photo mat and the edge of the paper. So I can cut it down to 2. And before we put this on, we're going to make a closure. So I'm going to make it with, this is a piece of chipboard. It's the heavyweight chipboard, but you don't need the heavyweight chipboard. And I put a piece of star paper on here. Let me cut this down to an 1.5 inches. Okay, 1.5 inches. I also have on the sticker sheet this little piece, and I'm going to put that on there. Now you could, if you wanted to, before you put the paper on, you could ink up the edge of this. I am not going to worry about it, but if you want to, you can. I'm going to take a thick, this will cut through my chipboard and make a hole. And I'm going to do something else. Now you don't have to do this, but I'll explain why I'm going to do it. going to put a little teeny magnet on the underside. Oh, well, no, I'm not. You know what? I did it for the other one, but I've already put this paper on, so I can't. The reason I do that, and I dig out a hole with my razor blade, and the reason I do that is so this will stay in place. Now, on this one, I did do that. See, it'll just sort of go to where the magnet is, but it's not the end of the world if you don't do that. Since I've already put this paper down, I'm not going to worry about it. I will take my paper, put it on where I think it's going to go. Take this and draw a hole and make a hole on my paper. And I'm going to grab my small brads and eyelets, and in this case I'm going to use, let me take this out because I'll use a couple more. I'm going to use this larger black brad. I know this is crazy. I keep it in this container. I keep it in a box. I have it all in plastic bags because that way, if I'm traveling and for some reason everything falls, it's not going to be devastating. It'll all fall and I can pick up the plastic bags. There were times that I've ended up picking up those little pieces one by one and having to separate it, and I don't want to do that again. All right, I'm going to separate there's a word for this, the little legs of the brad. I'm going to put it this way. I'm going to take some double-sided adhesive and glue that on because I don't want them to go too wonky. So I want them to stay in place. Peel off the backing, add glue. And then put that in place. So this piece should move, not the brad. So we'll just put it up here, close the page, and then there is another closure where we didn't have to use a magnet. All right, so that is the front of page 1. Let's move on to the next page. All right, so the back of page 1, front of page 2 are going to be very similar. We have lots of pieces on this one. I mean, it's not terrible. There's lots of little pieces. First of all, I have 2 pieces of string that are about 6-7 inches. I punched 4 pieces of cardstock. In this case, I had some heavyweight cardstock scrap, so I used the heavyweight. I punched 2, oh, look, I have an extra one. Punched 2 of the red circles to match this, and then I punched 2 smaller circles that are a little bit smaller than what we got going on. Let's put these together so they dry. So I'm going to put glue on one of the black. Put a piece of red on it and center it. And then glue on another black. Put the red and black on it and center it. Now you could just go with that, but I wanted to add some of the stars to it. So I cut smaller circles and I'm going to do my best to center this. And same here. Oops. Okay, let's let those guys dry. All right, so out of a 12 by 12 paper, I could cut all 4 of these, but I cut 2 bigger and 2 smaller. They are both 5 3/4 inch wide, all 4 of them. The bigger one is a little more than 6 1/8 tall, and those ones are going to go inside. So I'm going to take my corner rounder, because I rounded the flaps of the 2 larger pieces. And I'm going to put these guys on so I don't get confused. So they're going to go on the inside. I turned the book to the side just so it would be easy. I would have liked to use this craft color, but it's not really a craft color. It's sort of a craft print, but it's not the craft cardstock I have in my stash. All right, that's down. And I tend to, if I do duplicate features like I did the flap with a pocket on these facing pages, I tend to want to decorate them the same, but it doesn't mean you have to. I think it looks good, but you don't have to. Make sure that closes and we're good. Now while I've got this open, this was a scrap of paper, so it doesn't go all the way down. It's about 1/4 inch too short, but it is, the page is 6 1/2, so this is 6 3/8 by probably 6 1/4. So this is going to go inside the pocket. Make sure it still closes. That's a little tight. Okay, we're good. Let me turn this way. And put that in. Okay, we're good with that. Okay, on the bottom, because that other piece is a little bit too small, I cut a small strip of this stripy paper. It is about 3/8 of an inch wide, and I need to round the bottom corners. Again, don't go too fast. I'm going to put it opposite, because if you go ahead of me, you might miss a step. All right, so I'm going to put these on the bottom of the pages. And we'll go like there. And one will go here. Okay, so then this is going to go on the top, and I'm going to have to cut it down a little bit. I want there to be a little bit of the black paper showing through. So I'm cutting it down to 5 3/4. I'm going to toss those out. I don't need them. All right, but I'm not going to glue it on yet. We'll put those aside. Let's work on the pockets. So for the pocket, I have more of the stripy paper. It is 6 3/8 by 1 1/2. So you'll need 2 of those. But before we put it down, we're going to put string on. I'm going to put some glue. Take my baker's twine. I think this is from Doodlebug. I'm going to unravel it a little bit. Put it down there. Unravel this side a little bit. Just so it doesn't get too thick. And put it there. Add some double-sided permanent adhesive. This is 1/4 inch thick. Peel off the backing of that. Peel off the backing of this. And then I'll glue our stripy paper on here. I've got 2 black stripes in the center, so I'm going to have 2 black stripes in the center, so they're sort of flipped. You don't have to do that. Nobody will notice. There we go. And burnish, especially where that string is. Okay, now going to figure out exactly where we need to put these 2 little circles. I'm going to punch a hole in the center of them. Put that down. And I'm going to go up about 1/2 inch from the bottom of the plain paper. Just make sure they're even. And then we'll punch a hole. Actually, what I'm going to do is put these on top of each other and punch a hole. That way we know they're straight. All right, so I've punched a hole. I'm going to take my brads and put them in. Do the same for here. And it doesn't matter if these rotate, so I'm going to just glue these on. Sometimes I will add some packing tape just to make sure that it stays nice and strong and doesn't tear, but I didn't do it this time. And put that on like that and burnish. And there we go. Here's our pockets. I mean, you can put all sorts of things in the pockets. I don't have anything ready to put in the pockets yet. I always wait till the very end to see what I have left as far as extra paper. But again, another way of having a closure instead of using a magnet. You could have used a magnet here and here, but that was just a different way of doing it. Okay, now we'll move on to the next page. All right, we're going to work on the back of page 2. So first thing, all of these will be 6 3/8 of an inch wide. The bottom piece needs to be 2 1/4. And then the other pieces, you can vary the height of the paper, because it can go below what you see. Let me put on this first one. And I chose the bow tie paper. So I'm going to add that on here. And actually, I'll take a piece and stick it there just so I can see where the, make sure I get it on parallel. All right, and then here, this piece, again, it's 6 3/8 inch wide, and it is 2 3/4 inch tall. I am using this coordinating black check print because there is some of that in some of the bow ties. So I thought it'd be pretty. All right, so that's on. And then I'll do another bow tie. This one happens to be 3 1/4 inch tall. And be careful here that you don't add too much glue, because there is no, oh no, this is on the back page, so that doesn't matter. I was going to say the piece doesn't go all the way down, but it actually does, because it's actually the back page. All right, I'm going to try my best to make sure I get this even, and there we go. See, this is easy to decorate. And I will be putting in lots of different cut-aparts at the end. I'll see what paper I have left and what cut-aparts, and generally I'll just cut the cut-aparts and match it with some paper and go from there. All right, so for the front of page 3, I just have this black check. I guess it's a buffalo check. And before I glue that down, I'll add glue to this side. And there we go. Okay, now for this piece, I happen to have a piece that's a little bit too short for here. But you know what? That's not a big deal. I'm going to just take a piece out of the center and glue the top and the bottom. It's just that I had this piece and it was the perfect width, almost the perfect width. And I knew that I'm going to cover the center of this belly band with something, so I didn't mind having a space, having a gap. So there we go with that. Now what I'm going to cover it, and I might as well do it now, is in the sticker sheet, there is this Viewmaster. And I punched a piece of black cardstock. With a 2 3/8 circle punch. That's pretty good. And so I'm going to just add it here. So I'll add glue to that center piece. Add glue to the top. Glue to the side. And just put that on. I just like the Viewmaster, because when I was a kid I had one. All right, so there is that. Easy, easy, easy. Okay, so now I've already, for the front of page 3, front of page 4, back of page 3, I already tacked down the cut aparts that I wanted to use. And I might as well go ahead and glue them. Best trip ever. And adventure is out there. Let's go explore. This is a simple page compared to all of the other ones, but that's okay. It's okay to have a simple page. All right, I am going to add some adhesive, and I will add magnets. So I'll go ahead and put some there. And put adhesive here. And grab my handy dandy magnet container. I want to make sure I've got enough room. I want to stay at least 1/4 inch away from the side. And in this case, I have more than enough room. I'll go ahead and add a dot of glue. And a dot of glue here. So I'll wipe it off of there. And then add a piece of tape where that dot of glue was. And I have, I could put that there. I usually like to have room on the back to journal or to add a photo. But you know what? I sort of like this never grow up. I'm going to add it here. You can still add a photo to it. And the reason I like this is because the base color is going to be that pretty yellow. So that's okay. All right, there's that one. This one I am just going to add this. I like it because you can put the stripes either way, but I'm going to put the stripes so they go sort of landscape. And that way you can still write on the back of here if you wanted to, or you could add a photo to it. All right, and I'll add a magnet there. Peel off the backing of this double-sided adhesive. Let that magnet catch, and that magnet catch. And then I just have this yellow buffalo check. It's nice and bright. I was going to add a photo mat, but I thought this would be a good place if you were giving the album to someone and they use smaller photos, Instax photos or something like that. You can put 2 photos on a page. So I just decided to leave it without a photo mat, leave this simple, and let the recipient decide exactly how they want to put their photos on this page. So there we go with our pages. And there we go. That's simple. Simple, simple. All right. Let's go to the next set of pages. All right, so this one is a little more complicated, but then again, it's not difficult. All right, so first of all, I have 4 pieces, And this again came from, I have to make sure I have the right ones. This came from the extra piece that I purchased, an extra sheet of this. I just didn't want to run out. So this is 3 3/8 tall and 3 3/4 wide. You'll need 4 of those. And those will go on the front. I was originally thinking I was going to use the cut-aparts, but I never did. And on the inside, so this is another page where I am not using magnets, and it's a different kind of page closure. So you could do several of these in a mini album and not need a magnet at all. Of course, the page previous had a magnet, but that's okay. All right, now I have a photo mat. This is 6 It's 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. Probably could have gone a little bit bigger. I could have gone 6 3/8 or something like that. But that's okay. I'm going to put this down first. So this is 6 1/4, yeah, by 1 7/8. Going to put this one on the bottom first. And then we'll add the white photo mat. Okay, now we've got these corners. So I've cut this piece of pattern paper 2 3/8 by 2 3/8. I am going to cut this on a diagonal right across from one corner to the opposite corner. I put it in my cutting board, corner to corner. Let's just double check. Yep. So we put that one there. That one there. And we're done with that page. Okay, now this is 6 3/8 tall by 1 1/2 wide. Double check measurement on this because I think I might have had it 2 inches. Double check before you cut it. Again, I'm repeating the pattern. And then here, I am using the same paper. And this will go here. And this measures 3 7/8. I'm doing the exact same one inside. And then I have this, which I cut too small because this one was thinner for some reason. So I'm going to have to find a piece and cut it. That's too small. That's too small. That's just, is that too small? Yeah. All right, let me find a piece and we'll put it on. All right, so I cut a piece of just plain cardstock. It's 6 inches wide and 6 3/8 tall. It's okay that it has the branding strip on it because that's going to go in the pocket. So I'm actually going to put it in the pocket, add glue, and pull it up till it just about touches the score line, and we are good. So yeah, this is a little shorter than that, but we're going to use a different means to close it without using a magnet. So that is that page. We'll move on. I will put the mats in, which is what we're going to use to close that later on. After I see what paper is left, I'll make the mats and make sure I have the right sizes. All right, now we're doing the back of page 5. We'll do that one separately. Lots of components to this. String. I will put that away for right now. So, back of page 5 has, it's this waterfall, and I am using this as a background for the whole page. Figure if you go to Disney, there's the fireworks show at the end. Even if you don't stay to it, you know it's at the end, and usually it's late when you leave. So I'm thinking it's nighttime, and I like this, and that sort of matches with this. But anyhow, I'll move that aside and we'll work on this. All right, so for the front cover, there is this, leave a sparkle wherever you go. Sort of felt that went with fireworks. And I guess you could use some sparkly paper. Now this I cut a little differently than the other ones, because if you remember, this is a little wider, so then these will fold nicely. This piece is 4 inches tall, but it's 4 1/4 wide. So that will go down in the center. And then these are all 4 by 4. I just used some white cardstock. Why is that? Did I not? I glued that incorrectly. No harm, no foul. And then here's the other white one. So if you have, even if you take 6 by 6 photos, a lot of times there is extra room at the top and bottom and sides that you can trim them off and make them a square photo. Also, some people have Instax cameras, or I don't know what the other cameras are, that print smaller photos, and so this will work for that. Now, we're going to add a little bit of double-sided adhesive and this string. All right, so I'm gonna just put that there while I grab 1/4 inch adhesive. Grab 2 pieces. Try to find the center. Now you could use 2 separate pieces if you wanted to. There we go. But I didn't feel like I needed to. All right, and we are going to glue this all down. So I'm not making it so it's a tuck spot just because we've got the string, the ribbon. If you wanted to, you could only put the ribbon here and make it a tuck spot. But I didn't feel like I needed to. There's enough room on this page. And I'm going to center this perfectly on the page. Go ahead and burnish. Close that. And tie it. And that is all we need to do for that page. All right, we are rocking and rolling here. All right, for the back inside cover, don't want to put this on yet, but before I put it down, I will round the corners on the bottom. This is going to go down on the bottom. This is going to go on the inside, and this will go in the pocket. So let's add this to the pocket. I want to make sure this will close still. Okay, and do we want to have the words? I'll have the words. So we can put the inside on. So, of course, we round the corners. You just have to make sure you have the right orientation. And there we go with that. Okay, but we're going to put circles for the closure. Let me get them all together, and then I'll show you what we're going to do. All right, I'm going to start with, I like to use heavyweight paper, but if you have 65-pound cardstock, maybe use a couple extra. But I will punch out 4 circles with the 1-inch hole punch and 2 circles in red. Since I'm punching out holes, I will take my blue paper and cut out 2 circles. I'm trying to get it with a lot of the stars. There's one, there's another. All right, that's it for the hole punch. All right, so now I'll grab my glue, and I'm going to layer, I really don't need that many. Going to layer one black on another. Make sure they're nice and even. Okay, so we have 2 sets of black. I'll take some red and add some glue to that. Same with that. I like them nice and stiff. And then I will take my blue, and this is 3/4 of an inch, and I will do my best to center it on there. There we go. Okay, now I've taken a piece of lightweight paper and I folded and punched a 1-inch hole, folded it in half, and then folded it in quarters, and then cut the center out. And that leaves me with my pattern for where the hole is. Because I don't know about you, but I never seem to get the hole in the right place if I eyeball it. So I need the little pattern. So now that I know where that is, where the center is, I'll make a mark there and do the same with this. And there's where the center is, so I'll punch a hole. Okay, so now I've got my 2 circles that are going to be used for closures. I'm going to just dry fit this and figure out where I want the closure to be. So there's that one. So I know I want that one there. And that one there. Okay, we got that. I'm going to take some, you could use packing tape. You could use just some cellophane. Cellophane. I say that all the time and I laugh at myself thinking, does anyone use the word cellophane anymore? And you don't have to. I just like to add a little extra just to make sure it stays nice and strong. Put a hole where I've marked it already. This is a little bit of a longer reach. Now you could just poke a hole with a pokey tool. That's okay too. But there we go with that. Okay, now I'm going to take my string and put it in the hole. Separate it a little. Unravel it. Oops. Add a little bit of glue. And put my string in. Then I'll take my brad and put it in that same hole that my string is coming out of. Oh, come on. There we go. And then add glue on here. Make sure you get it right side up, which I know I did because it was sort of more justified to the bottom. And we'll just take our little brad, put it in our circle closure, and there we go. And then I'll glue this on. I didn't tape this down. I know I had done that on previous ones because I don't care if it spins around. It won't make a difference. We'll put that on here. And then there we go. There is our circle closure. And that is it. That is decorating the book with a paper. Now, I'm going to go through. Now, you know what? Let me show you one more thing before I add the stickers. I've already made 4 of my hidden photo mats. So what I've done is cut the paper, used my tab punch board to add the tabs to it, and then decorated it. So I'm going to show you how to do that after I put these in. And I think the next one goes here. And I try to use paper that there's not a orientation to it. It just makes it a little bit easier. So to do that, so I cut my paper a little bit big. This is 8.5 by 6.25. I know I'm going to cut it down, but I start with a bigger size to it, and I'll punch the hole punch. To do that, I use this tab punch board from We Are. I will go ahead trying to figure out. So I'll do 2 tabs that start at the ends, one for the first one for the last one that the center of the tab, I matched it up, I made a line, one that's centered, and then one that's on either side. So I'm going to do one that's here, and then I've made a little mark. This tells you where a medium-sized tab, where you would place it. So that's for medium size. I'm going to make it bigger. So I move this over to the right and punch. And then I turn it around and use this little thing to cut that off. And to cut this off. Now, I think over time, the blade on that sort of wears out and it makes it a little bit raggedy. If it's too bad, I just take an emery board and just sort of sand it down. But now that I know I've got this, I know I want my tabs to be from the top of the tab to the bottom of the paper 7 inches. I thought it was 7. I wanted to make sure. So now that I've cut my tab, I'm going to put this on here. So 7 is this line. Put that on there and cut that off. And then I can decorate it. So I've cut 2 pieces of cardstock, 6 1/8 by 1.5. I'll glue the 1.5 close to where the tab is, but I'll leave a little space. And then I have a 6 1/8 by 4 1/8 piece of white cardstock for my photo holder. So you can still add your photo right on top of this. There will be a slight gap to it. And then I've cut a couple of different sizes, just because sometimes it seems like I need bigger and smaller. So this is about 1/2 inch by 6 1/8, and that goes on the bottom. And then flip it over, do the same thing. This goes to the top. Now the good thing about these hidden photo mats is it allows you to have any orientation photo. So, and it allows you to have a 4x6 photo at that. So if you already have put most of your photos in the book and you've got some left over, you can add them to these hidden photo mats or just use this for your journaling spot. If you don't like the journaling to be sort of publicized and out in the front, I need to redo that one. And see, I cut one smaller because I don't know. And that works perfectly. And then I use this tab punch and cut 2 tabs out of coordinating paper. This one was out of the yellow solid. So I'll put one here, and you see the reason I cut this bigger is so there would be a border all around it. There would be a slight border anyhow if you did not make your tab a little bit bigger, but I like to have a better border. I like that bold look. So there we go. So either orientation. So this one will go here. And this one was going to go here. All right, now let's go ahead and decorate with stickers and enamel dots. I'm going to start at the front. So I have enamel dots that I also picked up from Echo Park. They're the same. The colors are basically the same. I'm going to take a large black one, medium size red, and tiny yellow, and just put that in that top corner. I'm going to burnish that down. I want them to stick. All right, so there's that. Now, out of the sticker sheet, there's this little camera. If there was a castle that would have fit here, I would have loved to use that. I'm going to put this in the bottom corner. I just like the idea of memories and a camera. But to make this pop, I'm going to take couldn't decide which one. I take a medium yellow dot and put it on the camera. All right, so there is that. All right, let's move on to the inside. So here, I'm going to take, I have to get the other sheet, this castle, because we've got castles, and we're going to put this here, right in the front. But I feel like it needs a little bit more, so I'm going to grab some more enamel dots. I'll take a large blue one, medium white, and a small black. I like groups of 3 in different sizes. So there is that. Now, before I go any further, did I do this already? I know I did. I made some photo mats, and here it is. So I actually cut down this 4x4 paper, because I was going to use it 4x4, but it didn't fit. So I made a little cut apart with the top has a tab. So that's going to go there because if you remember, we made that open so you could add something there. So that's a nice little spot to journal on the back. So there is that one. Now on our sticker sheet is the verbiage happy. And I am going to use that. So I'm going to put them all on a piece of black cardstock. I will have them not right next to each other. I'm sure all you need another piece of black cardstock. Or it's not happy, it's your appy. There's the H. I'll take my scissors. Cut at the bottom. I'm going to grab my scoreboard real quick. And I'm going to score this right above where those letters were. There's my H. You could probably have just folded it. Cut that apart, don't need that. So now what I'm going to do is cut these apart. Okay, and then I'm going to miter the tops of these. So the top is maybe 3/4 of an inch, 7/8 of an inch, just as long as it's a little bit bigger than just what the, just a little bit bigger. You'll see why. All right. H, A, P, P, Y. I took a bit of baker's twine. I'm going to lay it across here. I want them to be close together. Take some glue. I'll add a little bit of glue to each of those. Right. Okay, now I'm happy, and I am just going to add a bead of glue to the top because I want you be able to slide photos in there. And there we go. So it's still open at the bottom, so you can still add your photos. If you wanted to put a photo right there, you still could. But I liked using that banner. So now inside, I'm going to make it a wonderful day. I've got that. I'm reaching in my trash bin and getting a scrap of paper. And I'll fussy cut this out. Now, if you are making this album for yourself and adding photos as you go, you don't need to do this. You could just add this right on top of your photos. But this way, apparently I can't cut and talk at the same time. I have some glue, about 1/2 inch in the side, but this way you can add your photo underneath there. Now, another thing I wanted to do is add something over here. I wasn't sure what I wanted to add. I wanted to make sure you wouldn't see it if this page was still closed. So I added that. And then I wanted just a teeny little bit of verbiage. And oh, there's this word. It says wonder. Wonder. Okay. So there we go. There is that. And that's one type of closure. All right. Now these pages, I didn't want to do anything with the front. It really was fairly busy as it is. If I put anything there, it would have gotten lost. And I didn't want to put anything on the inside here. So the only thing we're going to do is actually, I'll do it. I have some cut aparts that are portrait style. There we go. That it just worked very well to put in that pocket. So there is that, and there is another kind of closure. Okay, so for here, there really is no other decorating except for, I did grab another scrap of paper, whoops, we'll take the bigger one. Took the bow tie, just so we sort of emphasize the bow tie for this page. And I'm just going to glue this onto the bottom of this page. So there we go with that. And then we'll add different photo mats and things for inside the pocket. So I've got this one with the bow tie. I might as well keep it on the page. I've got this one. It's got the polka dot. You know what? We can take this one and put the bow ties here so it sort of matches. There's that. And we've got one here. And you can add something up there. So there we go. There is that page. I don't know what to do for here. because I don't want to have anything that's got words on it. We can just put the balloons right there. Okay, so for this is the 4x6 cut apart. I cut 1 1/4 inch piece and mounted it onto cardstock, and so that can go in there. If you want, we can add something here. It says happiness starts here, which we really should put in the front of the book. But I'm just going to add glue to the bottom and put there. So you still could put a photo on that page, and then Mouse and Me goes in there. And then for this page, we can put that in to close it, and maybe that. So that'll keep this closed, but otherwise you can put a photo here and photos there, and photos, of course, on the photo mats. Okay. And then here, so let's see, I'd like to put some little teeny words. Smiles from ear to ear. We're such big fans. And I guess we could put never grow up. And Mouse and Me. And we'll tie that again. And then I'm not going to put anything on the inside back cover because there's that verbiage going on, but I will add other photo mats inside. So we've got this one, it's a mouse thing, and there's a big one, and that can go there. Do you believe in magic? So we've loaded up that inside back cover. And we've got this little ticket that can go to the back. And then for here, let us put Mouse and Me. Oops, this come out. Up here. So that's it. Let us do a final walkthrough. So here we've got the cover. We've got our waterfall. Little hidden little thing. We've got this closure. This will spin around, give you room for 2 photos. Hidden photo mat. these two will open up. And there is some photo mats. Now you can add photos to the back of them, of course, and add photos in the pockets. Put a photo on the top there. You can even add photos here if you wanted to. You know, usually if you're using this for Disney, you have a lot of photos. Oh, but you could use it for a birthday party too. Here is another photo mat. That goes in there nicely. So here, what you could do with this is add photos to the back of these, or just tuck the photos inside the pockets. And same here, you can add the photo to the back and actually just stick them inside there, or put them on the hidden photo mat. I mean, I call it a hidden photo mat because it's not like in your face, but it's not drastically hidden. We can see it. All right. Obviously there you can add your photos. You could put one here and one here if you had smaller ones, a little bit bigger there, and there we go. There's our hidden photo mat. All right, so for this, you could put a photo on the back of here, and that gives you still room to journal. You could add a photo there and a photo here if you wanted to, or just add them to there, and there is a nice photo mat there. All right, room to put pictures on the back, pictures on the front and back, a picture there, picture there, picture there if you want. Best day ever. Photo mat. And here, 4x4 picture here, 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 and here. We could have taken this and put it this way. If you wanted to. Or put a 3x4 photo, like a landscape style 3x4 photo there. And lots of room in the pocket with the flap. Lots of room to journal on the backs. Add photos. And here it's a little folder. So photo, 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 and maybe even a little photo here if you wanted to. But there we go. I hope you enjoyed this. I don't always do the decorating video, but I thought I would for this one, just to show you how I do certain features. That is what I have for you today. Don't forget, there is a video showing you how to make the mini album. There is a file in my Kofi shop with the cutting guide, or cutting list. It's not a cutting guide, a cutting list. And there is the tutorial already on the channel. And I have tons of these smaller mini albums. I do 7x7, 6.5x6.5, 6x6. It just depends. I know a lot of people like to use those smaller size papers, but even if you had 12x12 paper, that's what I used for this. And I really don't have very much left. So please go ahead and hit that like button. It helps me out more than you know. If you're not a subscriber, I'd love if you subscribed and join me along on my crafting journey. Thanks again for watching, and have a fabulous day.